bike's starting to go back together and it's starting to look fantastic, so I'm really pleased. But looking now at the throttle, when I pull it all the way around and release it, that's just not good. First of all, it doesn't snap all the way shut, which is to there. Now that means that if as I'm going along, if I release the throttle, it isn't automatically snapping back into close, which is really important that it does. I mean, you don't want a throttle being unpredictable or unstable, particularly when you're cornering or around a roundabout. You really need to make sure this is working as it should do, and this really should just snap shut again. So I'm going to take this part here off where the kill switch is, and then we're going to take the throttle cables off and oil those up and have a look at what's going on. So to get this assembly off, there's two screws, both Phillips screws. There's one there, and the other one is just there. So again, Phillips screw, and we'll take those out. These are both pretty long screws. You can see a pretty long bit. And then as we come up to this, here we go. So here you can see the cabling then for the kill switch, and here, this cable here is forming part of the return. So I can actually get that cable out, which links to this cable here. So you've got two cables coming up to this. One is the pull and one is the return. So fairly straightforward. They are adjustable, so I think oiling and adjusting are, and I'm hopeful that should sort out the issue. Just going to take off that third Phillips screw, just to stop it holding onto the wire like that, and that now means this becomes loose. Okay, so turning the throttle cable that way to give the cable some slack, and then very, very carefully just persuading this part here to come out, and there we have it. That's that cable released. Then we'll do the same thing, exactly the same thing on the other side. We'll turn it this way, give it a bit more slack. Loosening this thumb screw here means that now that cable that we took out earlier, that can come all the way out, and now that can be ready to be lubed up, so that's good stuff. And now this whole top assembly can move around, which means if I move, have a look at it from this angle, brilliant. So now you can see that's pretty much straight, and then we're going to push from the other side and get that other end of that cable to come out as well. Now that that's released, that cable will just pull on through, and then we can just put the kill switch mechanism down by one side. So here we can see now handles moving freely, there's not anything that's in its way, and now we've got both cables ready to get the lube down these holes here. Looking at the cables, I'm pretty comfortable they're in a fairly good shape, so I'm hoping that lubing it up is going to relieve some of the sticking throttle that I've been having. Just using nice and simple 3-in-1 oil. Now, as you can see from here, my oil thing actually has quite a fine spout on it. So that's just slowly, the oil is dripping down into the cable without the need for any special tools or rigmarole, and it's not dripping anywhere. I'm just going to leave that to filter through for a little bit, and then when I put the camera down I use the other hand to pull the cable in and out a little bit, just to make sure that oil is flowing right the way through the cables. Okay, so to highlight the difference, this one I've done, you can see it just pulls in and out really, really easily, so I'm pretty happy with this one. And this one's yet to be done. And this is really, really stiff. So we'll see how that looks. I have to do exactly the same thing on this one. Both cables are now moving a lot more freely, which is brilliant. So that's the first one that we oiled. That's the second one. So that's just sliding in and out really easily now. So time to put it all back together again, making sure I turn the throttle this way to get the first cable in, which is the one that's going to go in here, and then pulling it right the way around to get the second cable in. So I started off by putting this one in first, by first moving the lever right the way this way, so that one got in, and then the second one, before I tightened this up, pushed it in underneath and then pulled the lever right the way around this way, seated this little part in here, and then wrapped the cable around. So now from here we're going to do up this thumb screw up here, which is just going to hold the cable nicely into place. Yep, brilliant. And then this one, that screws back in underneath like it did before. Okay, so now, and it snaps straight shut again. So clearly oiling the cables was what was required. Excellent stuff.